Right, quick end of the week catch-up video with our sort of series of a cup of tea and some biscuits, and hopefully this will teach or be of some relevance to art department, script writers, directors, DOPs, because it's the piece that I'm going to talk about very, very quickly is of historical importance, purely because there's not many of them around, and I've talked about it before, the Enfield Bayonet Rifle. It's basically a scale model of an SMLE that would have been used pre-World War One to teach officers and enlisted men bayonet fencing. And the one I've got is quite a unique one, and I'll just show you. And this is the other reason why we've got to go to a bigger space, because we can't really show some of the really cool, massive pieces. So I may do a series of close-up pictures of this one, because it's quite unique, and I don't know if you can see that really well, but it's annotated, it's marked as an artist's one. So you've got a metal butt plate, which you can use for striking. You've got a hand guard, which is pretty useful. Your forehand is quite exposed, but what you would have done is you would have worn something similar to cricket pads and a kendo mask. And usually it would have been 3-minute bouts of an opponent who would be equally armed with one of these, and you would try and either aim for a hit, a slash, or the one that you're really going for is this pressure, straight in pressure, and to get a nice clean, get the bayonet lug to disappear at the end of the barrel. That would have been an immediate pretty much knockout. And you know, I was a member of the Artist Rifles club at Bisley from the mid-80s to the late 90s, and there's some quite interesting little stories that during the various pistol meets that we used to like a little drink, and then these things would come out near the end of the evening in our hall, and we would have a little bit of entertainment for the crowds. And anyone who thought they were brave enough or foolish enough to get into the middle of it could have a little go. And there's some high old tales of that club, and it was a great time. So again, we would have 2 of these. There was a wooden saber, which was weighted and was quite hefty to wield. There's also a wooden bayonet, which was again quite hefty, a hefty item, but blunted off, and the tip was rounded, so you couldn't really stab anyone with it unless you were really angry. But this is quite a unique piece. There's not many of them around. There's very few that are marked up. I've seen less than half a dozen. And if this could tell its own tale, you know, if you just look at the dents and bumps in the woodwork, if this could tell its own history, I'm pretty sure it would have a hell of a tale to tell. So what we'll do next, once we clear the new space out where we can do some slightly more in-depth filming, we'll probably set up a separate camera so we can do some close-up stuff on this. I'll probably start even perhaps writing some of these rather than just doing the whole thing off the cuff, which is quite hard work. But we'll do an in-depth comparison between this and an Enfield SMLE Smelly Mark III, which I'll try and get a bayonet for, so we can actually compare them as in dimensions, weight, and see how close this was to the original bayonet rifle, because it was meant to be a realistic training tool for officers and enlisted men from the early 20th century to the beginning of the First World War, where these things, you know, came into their own, having at least given a rough indication of what to expect if you got caught out and had to fix bayonets and defend yourself as best as you could. I mean, statistically speaking, the horrors of this, which is a kind of an actual training tool, the horrors of bayonet fighting was such that it was either so frightening that most injuries were received by people being bayoneted in the back because they just decided that running away was a pretty good idea. And I don't think I can blame them, because this is quite a horrific implement to kind of wield around. But we used to have great times at the club, and sometimes I do sort of think that they were better times, because people were much freer and more capable of just having a little pop at each other, and then afterwards go, oh yeah, that was really good fun, and then calm down and have a beer and laugh about it. So if you've enjoyed this, do stick with us. The new space for more filming will be ready in a couple of days, and then we'll carry on with our sort of comparisons of different bits and pieces, what I believe is good for film and TV, stuff that's good for the prop department, DOPs, writers, directors, because sometimes it's kind of massively overlooked that these are only devices that help the plot move forwards, and they're not the end all and be all of everything. So have a lovely, safe weekend. We'll catch up next time.